Welcome to the Uncensored Unprofessor. Hey, first, real quick, thank you all of you who've been helping me with your social media shares and love. Victor S., Josh E., Charlie J., Leslie Newbegin, G.K. Chesterton, C.S. Lewis, and Tom Oden. All of yous, thanks. Me, I'm doing great. I'm now already past 1 month with my new silver friend, my silver dollar-sized friend, my new friend, a Boston scientific pacemaker. I'm finally past the necessary time of recovery where I had to sleep for a month with a sling on my left arm. I guess more people hurt the electrical lines of their heart in that first month during sleep than when awake. I don't know, but I don't know. Do people jerk around and flail their arms around during their sleep? Well, I don't have to do that anymore, but I'm also on a long 3-month run of Eliquis, blood thinner. I've been fighting a nasty head cold for about a week, but on the whole, I'm feeling great. And I appreciate all the prayers you and your kids have been offering up on my behalf. I'm truly grateful for those. I'm particularly grateful for the envelopes full of money that people have been sending me anonymously. No return address, just envelopes full of money to go toward my efforts and the medical bills. That has just been so spectacular, you guys. Thank you so much. And then, thanks to my friend Mark Cummings, I've written well over 200 pages in my new book, or what I hope will be a new book. I'm hoping to find a publisher. I will self-publish it if I have to, but I'm hoping to find a publisher, and my book will be on the resurrection and the eschaton. What? No, not yet. My fill-in producer, thank you, ma'am, for filling in while Mr. Producer's on a short vacay. My fill-in producer just asked me if there's some online store where she could pre-order that book. No, honestly, no, it's still in the formative stages. But thank you, Ms. Fill-in Producer. Thanks for axing me about that possibility. It really has been super rewarding to have my head deeply buried in the scriptures for some 6 months now. I've got most all the foundation digging done, and now we'll begin building the house. What will it be like to live for eternity on planet Earth? It's a wondrous hope. That's the biblical hope, but we don't talk about it that way. So appreciate your prayers and support along those lines. How else can you bless my show? Go hit the thumbs up button. Go hit the like button for the UU on YouTube or iTunes, or please go write a review of the show or for a specific podcast somewhere on iTunes. Hit that likey like button on Facebook and the X post that I make every day. Your social media love is good juice, good energy to help me get the word out there about the UU University. And then, please know that I have a UU webpage, uncensoredunprofessor.com. I have links there for making Patreon pledges, my favorite books of all time, my current reading list, though I'm honestly writing way more than I'm reading right now, because again, I'm writing that book. And of course, I have on my webpage links to all 460 podcasts I produced over the last 8 years. For example, I did a careful look at the world's major religions, starting clear back on episode number 71. You can find that on the webpage, but if you can't manage to find the links to those world religions episodes, email me at uncensoredunprofessor@gmail.com. We're going to put our thinking caps on in a moment, but I wanted to pass on a story, and you guys may have already heard it, but in case not, a man and his blonde wife were watching the news when a story came on about a plane crash. The news anchor said that 6 Brazilian soccer players were on the plane and none of them survived. When she heard this, the wife started crying uncontrollably. The man was very concerned and asked his wife why she was so upset. She replied, "I don't know how many a Brazilian is, but it sure sounds like a lot." As a lifelong, or goodness, a 40-year-long anyway, blonde person, I enjoy poking fun at we blondies. Oh my goodness, a Brazilian. Today I want to think with you about nationalism, or better, why I have come to embrace the name Christian Nationalist. But first, I want to share my reflections on America's attack of Iran. Fervently, I've been praying for the Iranian people. 90% of them hate living under a dictatorship. And then I prayed more, especially when we began to learn of the mass murders of protesters in the streets of Iran. At first we heard 30,000 and 60,000, and I listened to one Persian pastor here from the United States who said it could be as high as 90,000 people murdered for peacefully protesting in the streets of Iran. Lord have mercy. So at the initial level, I welcome the attacks. I am happy about the blowing to bits of their missile launchers. Oh, please, Lord of history, deliver so many God-fearing Iranians from a demonic religious regime. I welcome that, and second, I'm grateful to know, or grateful to hope, or have more peace about thinking that an apocalyptic Muslim regime no longer has enriched uranium. You guys know this. It's bad, bad, bad for the entire planet that NOCO's Kim Jong-un has nuclear weapons. But at least he wasn't, or his father wasn't, chanting, "Death to all Jews," or "Death to America," or "We will usher in the apocalypse. Help us, Allah, to bomb our enemies off the face of the planet." Those kinds of chants that they made and backed up with terrorism for some 47 years. For 47 years, the Ayatollah's regime has been wreaking havoc in the Middle East and funding terrorism around the planet and funding mayhem here in the United States. And I think it's just a little bit interesting that the 47th president is mostly ending Iran's 47-year-long run of tyranny. A predominantly disarmed Iran is it's the kind of Iran that the whole planet needs. Third, it looks like our near total destruction of the regime's ability to launch ballistic missiles and other stuff, big drones at the top of that list now, right? Apparently that wasn't so hard to accomplish. And for me, it throws into stark contrast the last 47 years of political hand-wringing and political arse-kissing by both Republican and Democratic presidents. That Barack Obama saw fit to give the demon-inspired Ayatollah billions of dollars. They flew pallets full of money across the ocean to the Ayatollah was just off the charts insane. We were funding the terrorism that was at work against us. Obama only funded more money for the Ayatollah in doing that to go ahead and spend on nukes. Fourth, the real and abiding question for me is, will the Iranian people themselves be able to force the regime to surrender? I don't know. The math is good. 90 million people live in Iran, and they outnumber regime soldiers by a ratio of 150 to 1. That's great numbers. But the problem is the regime soldiers, numbering at about 600,000 of them, are armed. The people, they don't have any arms. They don't have any guns or weapons. Oh man, you guys, never give up on supporting the Second Amendment, ever. Let Great Britain be the warning shot over the bow to us. Never give up on the Second Amendment, ever. But I don't think the 90% can overwhelm the 10%. Not now as it stands. I don't think even that many people without weapons can overwhelm a regime of 600,000 soldiers with weapons. It's a horror story to just think about it. Fifth, and I'm a bit prognosticating here, but I believe America will not do a ground invasion. I don't think we're going to send in tanks and platoons of battalions of army soldiers into Iran. I read an amazing assessment of the military situation. Thank you, Dennis. And our entire military here in America only numbers a total of 450,000. Iran has 600,000 armed soldiers, police, shock troops. So I don't believe we're going to send our young people in there, our soldiers in there on the ground to fight against those kinds of numbers. They're not going to do city-to-city fighting across a country of 90 million people. I do believe that we certainly already have CIA and SEALs and special ops and rangers doing all manner of clandestine ops there in Iran, but I don't believe a full ground invasion is going to happen. Sixth, and this is probably where you should fasten your seatbelt because this is my theological perspective. I wonder what's going to happen to all the evangelists and all the books they've sold over the decades and all the pastors and all the books they've sold over the decades and their preachings about how Iran is the great Gog and Magog from Ezekiel, or the kings of the east is the country of Iran, Revelation 16. If Iran is no longer capable for what? For how many decades to come? If they're no longer capable of threatening Israel or us in any substantial way, if they're not capable of employing nuclear weapons, what does that do to late great planet Earth types of scenarios? All the specific stuff, and I read a book just a couple years ago that was laying out the book of Revelation in profound detail of every animal standing for a country. I ran there in the mix, and all of that now is going to collapse like a house of cards since America has taken down their ballistics capacity or taken away their enriched uranium. You guys, I said it 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago now, when I recorded those 2 episodes on the Muslim slaughter of Jews on October 7th. Back in 2023, I said this: be slow to make eschatological predictions. I think Jesus said something along those lines, didn't he? Be slow to make eschatological predictions. Be slow to turn the Revelation or any other books in the Bible into a chronological flow chart. Be slow to assume the Revelation is a one-for-one with present-day figures or nations. People have said and done those kind of prognostications and predictions over the course of 2,000 years, and they all turned out to be wrong. You may, if you keep doing that, thinking that the Revelation is a chronology chart, you may, like most every single evangelist who came to my church when I was a boy, you may end up making yourself look like a goof, or a dunce, or a dingus, or how you say, false prophet. There's mucho energy swirling today around the term Christian Nationalist. I've said it before on several past pods, but mostly Christian Nationalist and Christian nationalism are cudgels, beatdowns, meant to silence the church, especially the confessing Christ is God, biblical moralities kind of church, biblical morality matters kind of church. But you know what? I think it's time to just own the term. It's time to stop being defensive. It's time to go on the offensive. Me, I wish every Christian on the planet was, in their own respective country, a Christian nationalist. I wish every Christian had a missional view of life. I wish every Christian on the planet wanted their nation to be blessed by the gospel and righteousness and justice. I wish every Christian on the planet believed that Jesus is the Lord of everything and not just their private relationship with Him. Clear back in the book of Acts, first up at Syrian Antioch, which is about 100 miles north of Jerusalem, the name Christian was a mockery. You can read about this in Acts 11:26. The name Christian was a mock term. Non-believers used Christian to try to spurn the believers in Antioch. And even back then, Christian means little Christ. As though the believers were themselves trying to be little embodiments of Christ Himself. And actually, yeah, that is part of the point of following Jesus Christ. The cool thing is that the ancient Christ followers took the term and owned it. They made it their own. They said, yeah, we are Christianoi. We are little Christs. They turned a slammer into a goodie. And today the phrases Christian nationalist and Christian nationalism are supposed to shame us, silence us, paint us into a prison corner so that we won't bring our faith out into the public square. And no, I can't. I won't. I won't go into the reasons for that shaming and silencing and imprisonment today. No, I'm not going to do it. But rather than push back on that, rather than argue, nuh-uh, I've decided, I've thought it through, and you know what? I am a Christian nationalist, and I'm happy about it. And the truth is, frankly, I think it's time for all believers who are loyal to Christ, who believe Christ put us in the game precisely to be salt and light, to embrace a term that has been meant for derision, Christian nationalist. So, me, yeah, I'm a Christian nationalist, and frankly, I'm proud of it. But today I want to explain why I am a Christian nationalist and why Christian nationalism is a good thing. First, I'm a Christian nationalist because I love my faith. That's the Christian part of that phrase. And secondly, I love my nation, and you're on to it, man. That's the nationalist part of the phrase. I love them both, my faith and my nation. If you don't love the Christian faith, then you can't be a Christian nationalist. If you don't love your nation, America, you can't be a Christian nationalist. But I love my faith. And the truth is, I love my faith's founder, Jesus Christ. There's nothing like Him in the cosmos. There's nothing like Him in, all of human history? For me, I'm banking my eternal destiny on His identity, but I'm weird because I actually do love my faith. I love Christianity. I'm not a Christian who says Christianity's only a relationship and not a religion. No, it is a religion. Religions are collective ways of life that are directed toward ultimate reality, ultimate meaning, ultimate significance, purpose. My faith is not. What'd he say? My faith is not only about me and Jesus. And I'm going to shock you, my good audience. My faith is not even only about Jesus and me. Christianity's about everything. Because God is the creator of heaven and earth. And because God sent His Son to redeem heaven and earth. He loves it all. He means to redeem it all. One day He's going to resurrect it all. He cares about it all. And all of that is short form to say, I love the Christian faith. And I'm both proud and humbled to call myself a Christian. Second, I'm a Christian nationalist because I believe it's the best hope for my nation. And if you don't believe Christianity is the best hope for your nation, why are you a Christian? Sorry, I don't believe in empty nihilism is the best hope for my nation. I'm watching as millions of people live abjectly empty lives. Oh, drugged out, stoned out on pot, addicted to porn and gambling and unspeakable stuff. It's also purposeless, suicidal, angry and depressed and despairing. It's bad stuff. It's bad juju. Christianity's the best hope for my nation. Oh, and please know, I just read a journal article by R.R.Reno. He's a Catholic, and his article was in favor of Christian nationalism. And I'm taking a couple doctrinal cues he mentioned in his First Things 2026 March issue article. And being spurred by him, I'm going to present this as my own apology, my own defense, my own contribution for the church. And what I'm saying is that secularism won't do. An empty secularism is too cold for the soul. There's no beauty, no wonder. There's no goodness or purpose or holiness. There's no sharing. So I'm gonna take a big pass, a big niet on an empty nihilistic secularism. It's shredding souls, shredding families. Oh, Lord Jesus, it's shredding the church. And yes, of course, obviously, I mean, it's shredding progressive churches who are wholeheartedly, wholesale adopting an empty nihilist value system, but it's also happening from the inside out. That same empty nihilism is shredding on their face conservative churches. I can't explain that one today. The naked secular square is killing people and killing the nation and killing, well, like I say, it's killing beauty and wonder and goodness, and it's murdering purpose and holiness and sharing and being together. An empty secular nihilism isn't helping. In fact, it's killing. It's not the one thing. It's the dismal tide. So we need something better. So then, why? Why is Christian nationalism the best hope for my nation? Again, is your seatbelt fastened? Because of its doctrines. No, I really said it. Christian nationalism is best for my nation because of its doctrines. Not, gulp, not because of its love. Not, gulp, not because of its mercy. Not, I say, because of its compassion. And I'm in favor of all three of those: love, mercy, and compassion. Let's promote all three, but our nation needs way more right now than sentiment. Our nation needs far more today than merely to be affirmed. No, Christian nationalism is the best hope for my nation because of its doctrines, which is another way of saying its truths. First and foremost among those truths is the biblical teaching that the human race is fallen. You could say tainted or diseased. You could say infected, polluted, marred, effaced. In non-technical theological language, we're bunged. We've got a massive soul bung. We've got soulish bungish. In classical theological speak, it's called the doctrine of original sin. And let's just ask the question then, why is original sin a good belief? And the answer is because it's true. G.K. Chesterton, say that fast 3 times. G.K. Chesterton once said, original sin is the most irrefutable of all Christian doctrines. And that's because the whole world knows something is enormously wrong. And even more, we know that wrongness is not just out there. It's not just something woven into sociological dimensions or institutional dimensions or corporate dimensions. No, it's the reason it's woven into all those macro levels is because it's woven. Its infection runs deep down inside of us in the chambers of our hearts. The darkness that is so present right here in our chests, right here in our hearts, it's prevalent. And I've quoted him in the past, but it's worth it again. Here's the quote. The line separating good and evil passes not through states, nor between classes, nor between political parties either, but right through every human heart and through all human hearts. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Solzhenitsyn, who watched the nation he loved while being a Christian, get plunged into generational darkness. And he knew that lurking darkness permeates everything. A biblical songwriter once put it this way: there's not one who is good. And so, what? Why does that matter for my nation? Or why is that doctrine good medicine for my nation? The doctrine that we're all infected by sin is good for our nation? Yeah. And the answer is the realization of human sin means we need checks on the abuse of power. We need checks on the use of power. And we know, to quote my good friend Mark, who's been on the show with me here for months, we know that there really are men who conspire to do wickedness. And so we have to put checks on political power. We can't have a ruler issuing edicts through an auto pen. That's too easy and sloppy. It's too open to violation and corruption. We have to put checks on the abuse of power. And the doctrine of original sin rightly makes us wary. R.R.Reno wrote, quote, "The doctrine of original sin leads us to anticipate warts. Warts in our leaders' hearts." End quote. The doctrine of original sin reminds us constantly that left to their own devices, leaders will serve themselves, not others. And so, we can't have an oligarchy. We can't have a selective group wielding so much power. We can't have rank tribalism governing political power because tribes can go crazy. Democracies can be instruments of tremendous societal damage. Majorities can be tyrannies. So we need checks on power. Right? If a politician or a judge or a police commissioner or a sheriff or a school administrator openly works to subvert the Constitution, they should be both held in check and punished. Their power needs to be checked. Why? Well, because we know, and Christianity teaches, that evil, we Christians tend to call it sin, we know that evil resides in every human heart. The exercise of political power is a grave matter. When politicians instruct the FBI to harass citizens at school board meetings, those politicians and their staffers need to go to jail. Why? They've abused their power. They're no longer serving the common good. When politicians say instruct the police to arrest people who are protesting at abortion clinics, the politicians and their staffers, need to go to jail. They don't need to be called in for a public hearing. My listener, raise your hand if you're exhausted with public hearings in Congress. Wow, yeah, I can see them now. Millions of hands going up all over the world as they listen to the UU. Public hearings that amount to nothing. I'm sick to my gills of public hearings that don't do anything. They add up to nothing. People don't need a public hearing. Abusers of power need to go to prison. Why? Because in their use of power, they've abused the sacred trust. The doctrine of original sin, which actually should free us up, teaches us to put restraints on the exercise of great power. And the Bible teaches, and so Christians believe, that men will indeed cheat and steal and murder, and so they must be deterred and punished. Those are a few lines from Reno himself. People will cheat, steal, and murder. They need to be deterred and punished. So original sin, it's a great doctrine for running a nation, for building a culture, for building an equitable and just civilization, and for holding leaders in check. What's a second Christian doctrine that's good for nation building, the national good? I'll get to that in just a moment. First, again, you're listening to the Uncensored Unprofessor, but let me tell you about Gallerini Roofing. Most podcasts fizzle out after a week or maybe a few weeks. Significant to why I keep plugging my fingers into theological holes in the wall concerns my supporters. You guys, I haven't missed a week in 460 shows. In over 8 years, I haven't missed a week. Why is that? Well, I have amazing supporters at Patreon. You can go to Patreon and sign up for a gold or frankincense or myrrh pledge. Thank you so much, you guys. You're amazing and faithful, and you've been so strong for me. Thank you. But my corporate sponsor, Gallerini Roofing, they've been key to my ongoing casting of the pod diligence. Listen, if you live in SoCal and you need some roof repair work, or you need a new roof, or you have a commercial building that needs repair or a roof, call Gallerini, 714-244-6567. They've been in business for 3 decades. They've done many different kinds of jobs. They can do professional repair on even the weirdest architecturally designed roofs. You can't handle your job? Well, call Gallerini Roofing. They'll fix things with professionalism and skill. Again, 714-244-6567. Gallerini is licensed and insured. They have outstanding integrity. Give them a call, 714-244-6567. Gallerini Roofing, an amazing sponsor of UU University. What's a second Christian doctrine that's good for a nation, that's good seasoning for the nation? Well, Christianity teaches that creation is real. And it is real because God is real. Bad things tend to happen when people don't believe in God. G.K. Chesterton, say that fast 3 times, said the first effect of not believing in God is that you lose your common sense and can't see things as they are, close quote. And man, are we seeing that in spades today, right? So another way of saying creation is real because God is real is to say that biology is real. Family is real. Male and female are real. What God created is real and really exists. And that's important, you guys. This is almost like a stupid, but that matters because it means the state does not get to define reality. Belief in God as creator puts God above all other reality, so our allegiance goes first and foremost to God. What God created is real. But let's go just a little bit deeper here. The history of the human race is one of tyranny. It's not a stretch to say the history of humanity is one of tyranny. Some empire goes and crushes other empires. Some empire turns and crushes its own people. I mean, for goodness sake, the 20th century by itself proves that the human tendency is toward tyranny. More people were killed in wars in the 20th century than all the prior wars of human history combined. More people were subjugated in the 20th century than in all prior human history. That's in 1 century. More people were turned into mush, gas chambers, trench warfare, disease and epidemics, bombings, biological warfare, COVID-19. More people were turned into mush than ever before. How's that possible? Tyranny. And tyrannies, without exception, seek to redefine reality. You just need to trust what science says. What was that? What was that? That was a tyrannical wing of the government saying you need to let us redefine reality. Hitler and the Nazis? Only the Aryan race has dignity. All other races deserve to be eliminated. Stalin and the communists, Chairman Mao and his commies, only those loyal to the state have any right to exist. The state is God. For Karl Marx and his devotees, God is the state. In other shows, I've given you Carl 3:16. Compassion is more important than wisdom. For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son in the world to model compassion. But Carl's Genesis 1:1 goes like this. In the beginning was the state, and the state spoke, and it was so. Well, Christian doctrine says God declares reality, not states, and definitely not tyrannies. Tyrannies don't get to declare reality. Just keep your mask on and keep a distance of 6 feet. Tyrannies don't get to declare reality. And that we're committed to the doctrine of original sin keeps us vigilant against the rise of tyrannies. We heed God's created order. We heed biology and nature and natural law and reason and logic. And Christian doctrine, wherein God defines truth and reality, has always valued marriage and the family. For all of human history, every person finds their first center for being in family. Family defines people. Marriage makes families. Families define people, or even more, family grounds and shapes our loyalty. My allegiance, me as Ed Rybarczyk, the bald-headed you, my allegiance, first to my family. When I was fresh out of college, I was a youth pastor. I had a head pastor who tried to insert himself in between me and my wife. He believed the church, or he himself, had authority in our lives that was greater than our marital commitments. Oh, man. I had to look him in the eye and tell him, no, actually, you don't have that kind of authority. Not even the church trumps the bonds of commitment that are found in marriage. God's reality trumps all other reality. And beauty of beauties, you guys, family and marriage serve as stopgaps to a runaway government. Family and marriage serve as epic stopgaps to swelling tyrannies. Why? Because we learn in Christianity that our first loyalty is to family and marriage, not the state. And me, I love my country. I've been all over Europe. There's no place on earth like America. I've been to Central America. There's no place on earth like America. I've been to Ukraine. Oh, Lord, have mercy on Ukraine. But there's no place on this globe like America. Oh, Lord, end that war. Have mercy. So yeah, I love my country, but I don't love my country more than my wife. I don't love my country more than my family. My 6 grandkids, our 7th grandkid's due in just a few days. I've already decided I'm going to name her Baby Sister. I just watched the original the original 1969 movie True Grit. I remember seeing it when I was just a little kid. I was 8 years old when it came out. And the Duke, John Wayne, he called young Maddie Ross Baby Sister. I like nicknames. So our seventh grandkid, a girl, she's going to be Baby Sister. No, me, Ed, I love the United States of America, but not more than my family. If it's between my family and the state, I'm going to side with my family every time. Family, as a God-given reality, greatly hinders ultimate loyalty to the state. And I don't want to get too far afield here because if only I've said over the years of producing casts of my pods, but our current progressive culture, the dominant culture, the major media culture now, our progressive culture hates the family. It's why family's so under attack. Women having babies up the wazoo and then functionally being married to the state? Generational marriage to the state? It's unhealthy. It's broken. In some cases, it's demonic. Our dominant culture hates the traditional family. Abortion on demand, babies murdered even just after being born. Our major media-driven culture hates the traditional family. Because family as a God-given reality hinders and greatly hinders ultimate loyalty to the state. And I believe God knew that. I wonder. Did God, foreseeing the human propensity toward tyranny, did God give us families, moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and uncles and aunts and cousins and siblings? Did God give us families because he knew they would be enormous grist against the formation of tyrannies? I don't know. But that's how significant loyalty to something prior to the state really is. The state is not God. God is God. I'm giving significant Christian doctrines and use-splaining why they are central to my being a happy Christian nationalist. And I'm going to talk with Mark. I may just turn this happy Christian nationalist theme into an entire series. So I talked first about original sin, how it keeps powers in check. We know that there are evil men who conspire and plot to do evil. Second, I'm saying God defines reality, and that keeps the state in check. The state doesn't get to define reality. The state doesn't get to violate reality. The state doesn't get to demand our ultimate loyalty. So those two doctrines are good for the love of one's nation. A third one? Morality is real. Everybody on the planet knows, well, except college graduates, everybody on the planet knows that goodness and evil are both real. So morality is real. God loves. God wants the best for us. So morality matters. The enemy, or maybe it's enemies, the enemy hates us, wants the worst for us. And so that means morality matters. Once again, First Things editor, author R.R.Reno said, quote, "The main problem facing America is not a lack of faith in Jesus Christ. It's a lack of belief in anything whatsoever." End quote. Isn't that amazing? The lack of belief in anything whatsoever is shredding our country because functionally America right now believes in nothing. And that nihilism, that nothingism, that disbelief, it produces asinine university slogans like, "All moral claims are hidden power grabs," or the one I heard, "All cultures are equal." So we know that belief in nothing doesn't produce nothing. Belief in nothing produces monsters. Belief in nothing produces ideas that are monstrous. Because guess what? Guess what belief in no morality produces? Immorality up the attic. Belief in no morality produces immorality up the waz. No, the Christian belief that morality is real, because God is real, because what God created is real, because God's own character is holy and moral, belief that morality is real is ginormous grist against governmental overreach. I could love my government when it isn't overreaching. I could love my nation when it's seeking justice, when my nation seeks to act justly, to walk humbly, Micah 6:8. Nations that are humble, That's a rare bird. Nations that work mercy? Whew, that's a rare bird. Nations that pursue justice probably are unheard of across the history of humanity. Well, today maybe we have an exception in El Salvador. They've ended crime practically in their nation. But the doctrine that morality is true and real, it enables me to love both my faith and my nation, because if there's no morality, then there can't be any truth. Truth, when it's broken free from morality, just becomes demonic immorality, run rampant. And that's not just the biblical witness, that's the witness of human history. So there you have it. Those are 3 Christian doctrines that foster my love of my faith and my nation. And sheesh, per always, there's so much more to say. But let me toss in a quick qualifier here, especially for my third way listeners. When Jesus in John 18:33 and following told Pontius Pilate, "My kingdom is not of this world," Jesus was not saying politics or the nature of nations don't matter. Oh, you third-way listeners, you've so brutally misunderstood the text. Jesus said, "My kingdom's not of this world," and then Pilate responds, "Well, are you a king or not?" And then Jesus gave the coolest answer imaginable. He said, "For this I was born. For this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Was Jesus thereby abdicating power? Not at all. Was Jesus saying that politics are not important? Not at all. Was Jesus saying that cultural formation is irrelevant? Not at all. No, what Jesus said to Pilate was, "Hey, there's something more important than your temporary grip here in the Middle East." And my listener, we know that that something is, back to Jesus' quote, truth. God wants the truth to grip our hearts. Jesus, R.R.Reno, astutely clarified in his First Things article, Jesus came to, quote, lead a rebellion in our hearts, overthrowing the principalities and powers that rule this world and installing himself instead as our Lord and Master. Close quote. That's the coolest thing. Jesus came to lead a rebellion in our hearts. How does he do that? By inviting us to love the truth. When we love the truth, we're able to better love both our faith and our nation. Because without truth, both religion and the state turn into demonic monsters. Oh, you know this, my unlistener. This is not all that could be said on this matter. I can imagine the discussion going in many directions with several other Christian doctrines at hand, but I wanted to throw this out there today to you as a teaser, as a challenge. Let's stop worrying whether people hate us for loving both our nation and our religion. Let's pray and prod that every believer in every country become a happy Christian nationalist. Hey, Donka for the download. If you've enjoyed this out-of-the-box reflection on Christian nationalism, email me at uncensoredunprofessor@gmail.com. And until next week, please, everyone go and turn on your beautiful God-given brains.